Oh, wow.
Falcon 9 is in startup. Dragon is in countdown. FTS is armed for launch.
For launch.
Under a minute now, the FTS, the flight termination system, has been armed.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
Dragon, we're go for launch. Let's light this candle.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Stage 1 tanks pressing for flight.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10,
É que não se reparou, default.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Nossa.
Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Father Dog.
America has launched.
So you're gonna pay right now for one.
American spaceflight and awakened the ambitions of a new generation continuing the dream.
New generation continue their dream.
Propulsion is nominal.
Seconds into this historic mission. Flying crew on board Dragon and Falcon 9, and look at them go.
Falcon power telemetry nominal.
M1D throttle down.
We're throttling down to get ready for the period of maximum dynamic pressure. We're in the throttle locket. Report sound, systems power go.
Vehicle is supersonic.
We've exceeded Mach 1 on the Falcon 9.
Yeah, we'll walk one up.
M1D throttle up.
We're throttling back up to full power as we're through max Q.
Copy 1 Bravo.
And we heard that 1 Bravo call out. That's just the second abort zone that they're in. They'll continue to be on this until the first stage has done its job and they switch over to the second. At this point, Bob and Doug pulling about 2.3 Gs, 2.3 times the Earth's gravity, already moving at over 1,500 miles per hour.
We have to call out for MVAC engine chill. That's getting the MVAC engine ready to light. That'll come at about 2:44 into flight. Right now, everything continuing to look good. Next major event coming up is going to be the triple. We'll have main engine cutoff of the 9 first stage engines, stage separation.
Cut off. We're going to cut off now.
Of the second stage engine to continue to carry astronauts into orbit. Coming up in about 20 seconds.
M1D throttle down.
We're throttling down the Merlin engines on the first stage. And we have Nico.
Yeah, we'll go.
Falcon stage separation confirmed.
Ah,
Copy 2 Alpha.
ah.
MVAC ignition.
Alright, we have stage separation confirmed. The first stage beginning its flight back. The second stage being powered by that single Merlin 1D vacuum engine has ignited and is now carrying Bob and Doug into orbit. So they're going to continue under the power of this second
Stage 2
stage,
propulsion is nominal.
which will cut off at SECO, or second engine cut off, at about 8 minutes and 44 seconds into today's flight. So a little over 5 minutes to go still on this second stage. You heard the call out to Alpha, so they're now in the longest abort zone that carries them all the way from about North Carolina up the eastern seaboard, almost to Canada. Things looking good though, getting good call outs, nominal propulsion on that second stage. Bob and Doug continuing to make their way into orbit.
Dragon SpaceX nominal trajectory. Acquisition of signal Bermuda.
SpaceX Dragon nominal trajectory.
All right, here in nominal trajectory, so Dragon pointed in the right direction, continuing to make their flight uphill for an acquisition of signal Bermuda. That's one of the other ground stations that they're using to get telemetry and data back from this spacecraft.
Stage 2 propulsion is still nominal.
A little over 4 minutes, 40 seconds into the flight. Bob and Doug flying at more than 5,600 miles
Dragon
per hour.
SpaceX nominal trajectory.
Already almost 200 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. Nominal trajectory continuing. And while they continue uphill, looks like we are getting a view of the first stage as well.
Yep, on your right screen, you can see that first stage with the grid fins deployed. It's making its way back to attempt to land on our drone ship, Of Course, I Still Love You today. And we're just about a couple minutes away from the entry burn, and that's where 3 of the 9 Merlin engines do ignite to help slow the vehicle down as it re-enters back into the Earth's atmosphere. And then after the entry burn will be the landing burn, which is just a single
Dragon
engine burn.
SpaceX nominal trajectory.
And you heard
Nominal.
Starting chill for entry burn.
there's that call out. They are still on a nominal trajectory on Dragon, still on second stage, and that's that MVAC engine on second stage on your left screen. Again, on your right screen is that first stage booster coming back towards our drone ship, Of Course, I Still Love You. We're about a minute away from entry burn.
Meanwhile, that second stage continuing to power Dragon into orbit. And if you're keeping an eye on that timer, that's going to continue to burn until 8 minutes and 44 seconds into flight. So a little over 2 minutes from now, we'll hear the call out SECO. It'll then be a little
Stage 2 propulsion is still good.
a little over 3 minutes until Dragon physically separates from the second stage of the Falcon 9 after the upper
Dragon
stage gets a
SpaceX
chance.
nominal trajectory.
Dragon copies nominal trajectory.
Continuing to check in with Bob and Doug as they are on a nominal trajectory. Just about 10 seconds away from that first stage, starting that entry burn on your right screen. You should be able to see that view live.
Stage 1 entry burn started.
And there is that entry burn
Acquisition
beginning.
signal unit.
Alan.
This burn lasts about 36 seconds long.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
While that entry burn continues, we're just about a minute away from SECO. We'll have a number of events all happen in rapid succession. It'll be the second engine cutoff.
Stage 1
We'll be
entry burn
looking for
shutdown.
that stage 1 landing burn shortly after.
And actually just within a few seconds of each other. Such a cool view on your left screen, seeing Bob and Doug on Dragon. Right now you can see the displays that they are seeing right
Right,
now.
you're looking at it right now as the Crew Dragon capsule is being carried to space on the second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket. Right now, the first stage is actually on its way back down to Earth. And one notable feature about these rockets is they are reusable and they will land, if all goes well, on drone vessels in the sea. I would like to, as we watch this, and I want to tell people at 12 minutes, so about 3 minutes from now, will be the final stage where it separates from the second part of the rocket. I want to show people the launch one more time here. And that was the launch just moments ago of the first launch of a crewed spacecraft from U.S. soil in 9 years, and the first time ever a launch from a private company. I'm joined by Miles O'Brien, a CNN space analyst, and Scott Kelly, NASA astronaut. Scott, your feelings right now?
Well, lately, not a lot of great news or good news in this country, and this is just great. And I'm very excited, not only for Bob and Doug, but all the people that put so many years of labor into this. The first flight of anything, any aircraft or spacecraft is significant, but more so, the first flight of doing something like this is a real achievement. So I'm absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, on the left-hand side of your screen there is the landing drone, basically, of the first stage of that rocket. Miles O'Brien, it is always remarkable to see this, and this was a launch that we haven't seen before. Yes, SpaceX has launched unmanned rockets and capsules before, but this is the first time astronauts are on board, so we're watching something happen for the very first time.
Yes, John, and we should point out they are officially in orbit now. That's a big deal when you turn off the engines and you begin hurtling around the planet at 17,500 miles an hour. That's the critical 8.5 to 9 minutes that we worry about the most. It's similar, and yet it's very different to what we've been used to over the years. And you got to give credit to the SpaceX approach. For years, they were flying cargo to the International Space Station. They began with a design and built the cargo craft with human beings always in mind. And so they got a lot of experience with the Falcon 9 Dragon combination, sending cargo up to the International Space Station. So while this is a first launch with humans strapped inside, and that ups the ante on safety, human rating is a big deal, they learned an awful lot over the past 10 years in those repeated trips to the International Space Station. So, when you harken back to the first space shuttle launch back in 1981, that vehicle had never flown before. That was an extraordinary test flight John Young and Bob Crippen accomplished in that day. In this case, this is, in many respects, a tried and true system that Benken and Hurley are riding on.
At 12 minutes, T plus 12 minutes, and we're about 20 seconds from that, the capsule will separate completely from the rocket. I want to just listen in for a second to see if we can hear some of that communication.
That separation event should be coming up shortly. Then they'll begin a series of checks on the Draco thrusters that are going to be used to maneuver and then power Dragon on its flight to the International Space Station. Standing by for separation.
Expected loss of signal, walls.
It sounds like we had an expected LOS loss of signal with one of the ground stations. Waiting for confirmation out of that.
Dragon separation confirmed.
Dragon separation confirmed.
There is a great view right in front of you of Dragon separating. And there's that call out. Dragon is now officially making its way to the International Space Station today.
Dragon SpaceX with that separation call. We have a few words.
The second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket drifting back down to Earth. The capsule is on its own. Scott Kelly, an incredible moment to witness. I have to imagine for you, as someone who's hitched a ride on a Soyuz, a Russian rocket before, this looks to be traveling a little bit more style and a little more comfort here.
Yeah, definitely a bigger coolness factor when you look at the blue lights and the spacesuits. Different than the Soyuz, although any rocket you fly into space is definitely cool. This is a little bit extra special, I think.
And it was, $86 million a pop there on the Soyuz. This coming from U.S. soil, putting Americans up into the air. They have a 19-hour ride at this point, Miles, to the International Space Station, and it's interesting. They don't know how long they're going to stay. At this point, it's anywhere from a month to 3 months. NASA has yet to decide how long they'll stay up there.
Yeah, it's a test flight. That's the important thing that we've been trying to get across here. But hey, you've got two guys who are up at the space station. The space station currently has one U.S. astronaut, and the U.S. side of the house could use a little bit of help. So why not stay there for a reasonable period of time? The limiting factor, I'm told, is the solar arrays themselves. They will degrade in orbit, and their functionality will degrade somewhat. So they'll be watching that very carefully to see how long they can stay, maybe upwards of 120 days. The other thing that's important is the Crew Dragon, the next flight, the official crew flight, is slated for August 30th. They want to get this craft back in time to look at it very carefully, pick it apart like a Thanksgiving turkey, make sure there aren't any problems that need to be addressed before they give a green light for that next mission on August 30th. So those are the things they'll be thinking about. But in the meantime, Benken and Hurley will have a big to-do list on the International Space Station.
No question about that. Also joining us now is astronaut Jessica Meir, and I understand you've only been down on Earth since the middle of April. First of all, welcome back. Nice to have you here. I did get a chance to speak with you when you were on the International Space Station. You're watching the way you might get there the next time. So I wonder what your feelings are at this moment.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thank you very much. I am still readjusting to life back here on Earth, and I gotta say, a little bit jealous of Bob and Chunky right now because I would much rather still be floating. But this is incredibly exciting for all of us, especially for those of us in the astronaut office. We now have yet another vehicle of getting humans to space. So that is really a great thing for everybody on the planet, particularly exciting from a national pride standpoint to be launching from the U.S. again. We'll still be continuing those international partnerships, and I wouldn't have traded that time in Russia for anything in the world. That will be an important part of our space journey still going forward, but it is great news that we will now have several vehicles, hopefully another one coming online soon with Boeing to get humans to space.
Jessica and Scott, I want to ask you both a question right now that has to do with the moment that we're in, because this is a shared experience that we're enjoying right now as Americans, watching a first in space right now, and that's wonderful. And it fills us all, I think, with pride and joy, but it is not a joyful moment overall in the country right now. There's immense difficulty on the ground. And so, Scott, I want to put it first to you. What's it like to be in space? What's it like to have that physical separation from the people and the planet when things are going on that are painful like this?
Yeah, so I had a very painful moment in my spaceflight career on my first long-duration flight. My sister-in-law, Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, was shot in Tucson, Arizona, and 6 people killed, other people injured. And it's tough. It's a tough place to be when you feel like you need to support your family, your friends, people at home, and you can't be there. But both Bob and